friends. Welcome to day one of our 5-day Cycle Sync Your Business live stream series. This is episode 1. I am so excited that you're here joining me. And if you are in our Facebook group and watching this series live as we go through together, make sure to drop a comment in the comments so I know you're catching the replay. I'm probably going to turn these videos into a self-guided email series. So if you're watching via somewhere else, make sure that you join our Courageously Authentic Women in Business Facebook community so you can come hang out with all the amazing women there. And so we can connect on a deeper level. But no matter where you're coming from or what day it is when you're watching this video, I just want to give you the biggest virtual hug. I'm so excited to share all of this stuff with you. And today we're going to be covering a deep overview probably, of what cycle syncing is all about, what feminine energy means, and why this is so important for us to learn about and to practice and to apply to our own lives, our own journeys, and our own businesses. This is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, and I have a feeling that there's kind of a wave, I don't know what to call it, of consciousness, of awakening, of girl power, of a new type of feminism rising right now as we start to reclaim our bodies and our power. And I feel like even though no one's really talking about cycle syncing that much yet, I predict this is going to be a hot topic in the near future. So it's really exciting to be on the crest of this wave with you. So over the next 5 days, I'm going to be guiding you through an introduction of cycle awareness and how to apply that roller coaster of energy and hormones that we go through every single month to how you show up in your business. Because there's a lot of women, not a lot of women, but there's more and more women amazingly out there who are doing hormone and fertility health coaching. I personally love Elisa Vitti. She's the author of the book Woman Code. That was the book originally that got me into this whole thing in the first place. And so there's a lot of information out there on fertility, on how to heal and balance our hormones, and even how to start tuning into these energetic and creative shifts over the course of the month. But I couldn't really find anything that talked about how we can relate all of this to our businesses. And as a creative entrepreneur who's really passionate about helping and getting to know and living, doing life with other female entrepreneurs, I think that this is something really important and really awesome that we can explore together. So I'm excited to go on this journey with you. So over the next 5 days, each day I'm going to go live. I'm going to share a video with you. Today's the overview. After today, for the next 4 days, we're going to start to dive into the 4 distinct phases of our cycles that I also love to think of as inner seasons. Because just like in nature, we are part of nature, right? And so our energy and our hormones, they circle, they cycle, they shift through these seasons of creation every single month, just like in nature. If we live, if you live in the Midwest like me or somewhere with different seasons, then you see nature going through these 4 different seasons of birth and flourishing and death over and over and over again, and regeneration and life and rest. And it's really cool to start bringing our awareness to how we are a part of this bigger planet, and we're part of life, we're part of Earth. And especially in today's culture where we get in our heads, we're so busy, we're online, we're constantly go, go, go. I think there's something really powerful and sacred about slowing down and giving ourselves permission to tune in to how we're all interconnected and to tap into that greater source of energy of creation. You can call it God, you can call it universe, you can call it source, that bigger power that we are all part of. And as women, we have an extra special connection because our bodies can create life. Our bodies do destroy life every single month as we have our periods. It's so freaking powerful. And we often suppress this stuff as we go about our busy lives and get caught in our heads and get caught in the go, go, go. And we beat ourselves up and we try and manipulate our bodies and punish our bodies and feel like we're never good enough and feel like we need to lose weight. And, we treat our bodies as something that is shameful or something that's wrong or something we need to fix or change, instead of giving ourselves permission to feel at home in our bodies, to feel like our bodies are here to support us through this crazy, messy, 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 tumultuous journey called life. And this is why I think this work is so freaking cool. So I'm going to be your guide over the next few days. I am going to teach you how to be your own guru, how to tune into your own body's wisdom, your own intuition. I am not a medical professional. I am not, and by far not, a super expert in any of this. I am just a woman who has been on her own journey, who loves, loves, loves. I love sharing my experiences, and I love connecting, and I love talking about the things that we don't talk about. And I love teaching you and being a mirror and teaching you how to take leadership and take ownership of your own life and your own journey. And then we will co-create and go along this path together as community, as we are meant to do as women. So who am I? My name is Anna. I am a life coach. I live in Chicago. I work with ambitious, multi-passionate, driven women who have been high achievers, kind of success junkies their whole lives, who are feeling called to, not slow down really, but to pause, to rest, to create a more sustainable approach to life and business, to feel at home in their bodies, lives, and businesses, and to create more inspiration and create a deeper connection to their spirit, to their joy. And I do that through one-on-one coaching. I also do health and fitness virtual coaching, because I feel like a really great way to connect with our deeper intuition and our deeper selves is through moving our bodies, getting into our bodies. Health and fitness is a great pathway to that. And I'm starting to implement this cycle work into my business as well. I am just now launching a group program called Wild Synchronicity, which is a 12-week deep immersion into learning how to align your cycle and your energy with your business. So if you're interested in all of this stuff, please reach out and let's chat more. I am going to be sharing a little bit more about this program later on this week. So just a heads up. If you want more information, it's coming, but I'd love to chat more about it. But for now, I would just want to share value with you and be here with you and give you an introduction into this world of cycle awareness and owning your feminine power. My hair is super crazy. I haven't washed it in a few days. So if I'm playing with my hair, sorry, I get distracted. And okay, so why am I the right person to teach you about this? So I have a background. I love my background. My background is crazy, and yours probably is too, because as entrepreneurs, we don't usually grow up thinking, I want to be an entrepreneur, right? Like the internet wasn't even invented when I was a kid. So I had no idea I'd be doing any of this stuff. Growing up, I was always super creative as a child, super emotional, I had a great imagination. I was really into just creating things and playing imaginary make-believe games in the woods with my sister and our friends. As I grew up and got into school, I started gravitating towards science because I've always been super curious about how the world works, about how things work, and how I love biology. I love plants and animals and living things. And I was really good at school. So I decided, since I wanted to help people, I decided I wanted to be a doctor. So I entered college as a pre-med major, quickly discovered that wasn't really the right fit for me. So I pivoted into environmental science because I was really passionate about the environment and our human interactions with the environment. And I ended up getting a master's degree in geography and doing some research on old growth forests and forest fires on the West Coast. Ended up moving to Chicago with my husband, going through a quarter life crisis, and then discovering health and fitness coaching, discovering life coaching. Here I am. I feel like I've made this big circle back to where I started, because now I have a background in science, but I also get to tap into my creativity, and I still get to help people, and I still get to take this inquiry method to life, just like I did scientific inquiry and did experiments. Now I get to take that to my own life and getting curious about why we do the things we do, why we behave the way we do, why our bodies do crazy things, and I don't know, it's all science, right? We're all just living, breathing science experiments. So that's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to look back and connect the dots of your life. And over the last couple of years, I was taking the birth control pill for almost all of my 20s because I had PMDD, which stands for premenstrual dysphoric disorder, aka PMS from hell, crazy mood swings. So I started taking Yaz back in college because that was the first and only birth control that was specifically designed to help treat PMDD symptoms. And yeah, and it helped stabilize my moods. I love the birth control pill. It worked. And that's my kind of my philosophy is like, find something that works for you and do it until it stops working. And in my late 20s, as I was getting more and more into this holistic health and wellness world, I was experiencing a lot of anxiety, a lot of just kind of like weird side effects that I knew or I suspected had to do with the birth control pill. And I started to ask myself, okay, if I'm so into health and wellness and taking care of myself, why am I still pumping my body full of these fake hormones? And that's around the time I discovered Elisa Vitti and her book Woman Code and this whole concept of feminine and masculine energy and really taking ownership of our bodies. And I was just like, whoa, this is so cool. So in winter, in like January, February of 2016, 2.5 years ago, I stopped taking the pill. It took me probably close to a year to get a semi-normal cycle back, but it was so cool to get to know my body. I immediately felt different. And I don't know, it's just super cool. So if you're on the pill right now, totally not judging you because, hey, it is a wonderful, wonderful invention. But if you're curious and thinking about maybe going off the pill, I'd love to chat with you, just share my experiences and listen to your experiences. And just know that it's okay to quit the pill. You're not going to get pregnant right away. Probably not. Our fertility is super complicated. But if you're feeling called to get to know your body's natural cycles again, it is going to be really cool. Just have a lot of patience and grace with your body as it figures itself out. So my cycles ended up being kind of longer than textbook normal, but I started to experience the cyclical energy again. I did not have PMDD again. I didn't have like the crazy bipolar mood swings, but I did start to have more mood swings. I did gain a little bit of weight, but like in a good way, I think. And I started to feel a lot more creative and a lot more, I don't know, just like sensual, and I guess the best way to describe it is at home in my body. So it was really cool. And I started discovering other women who were doing this cycle awareness stuff. I started taking some e-courses, started journaling, starting discovering books and resources, and doing a deep dive into this whole world. So for the last 2.5 years, I have been practicing cycle awareness with myself, not just tracking my cycle, but also tuning into the energy shifts, learning everything I can about this way of doing life and applying it to my life, practicing. It's at the end of the day, it's a practice, right? You don't have to be perfect. There's no right or wrong. It's a practice that we get to show up for and participate in every single day of our lives. So this whole thing I call it embodied wisdom because it literally is part of our bodies. So I want you to know, Kara, hey love, so good to see you. Facebook, see you. I want you to know that the things I'm going to share with you, this is not a prescription. This is not a formula. This is not a step-by-step strategy. This is not oh my gosh, I must do all of these steps. I'm sharing with you some common experiences and an overview of what might be happening. But at the end of the day, you are your own expert. And so you need to tap into your body. I'm going to teach you how to tap into your body and use your body as a guide, and just have the patience to start tracking your energy and seeing if there's patterns month after month. But at the end of the day, this is not the type of thing like I'm going to share with you, oh, these are some things you might be feeling or you might consider trying during this phase of your month. This is not a prescription. I do not want you to be like, oh, I'm on day 12 of my cycle. This means I should be doing X, Y, and Z. No, it's not an outside in thing. It's an inside out thing. So I want you to tune into your body and see if you resonate with any of the things I'll be sharing over the next few days. But this is, I know it's really hard because we're trained to seek external outside wisdom and knowledge, and we're trained to be good learners and good students. So it's going to be hard and challenging for you to become your own teacher. But remember, practice is the magic word. So why is all this stuff important to begin with? Like I mentioned before, I feel like our world is going through a pretty deep and powerful shift. We are starting to recognize that the patriarchal ways of doing life aren't really serving the whole world anymore. And so some big systems and structures are starting to shatter, starting to fall. Politics is a hot mess. Me Too movement, all of this stuff, all of the racial stuff and all the injustice and social justice stuff going on. I feel like these are all signs of a bigger paradigm shift that's happening, and it's going to be messy. It's going to look worse before it gets better because the only way out is through. So it's kind of a crazy time to be alive. It's also a really interesting time to be alive because we're starting to realize that the patriarchy and this masculine model of success, by masculine I mean like designed by men, linear, the story that success comes from hard work and sacrifice endlessly. We're starting to realize that, especially as women, this isn't really sustainable for us. We have different goals. We can't just be like men. That's I think the first wave of feminism, which was amazing, but it taught us that we needed it to be just like men and show up just like men. And but we can't, because yes, we might be just as equal, but we're different. And so I think it's important to create a different, yet still equal and still just as good paradigm for life and business that honors our strengths and physiology as women. And so by trying to be like men and by trying to just be more successful by showing up and working really, really hard day after day and sacrificing and all this stuff, I feel like we're doing ourselves a disservice because we're ignoring and suppressing our advantages, our strengths as women, and we're not leveraging our power and this source of creativity that lies inside of us, and our ability to harness our intuition, to harness this deeper wisdom, to harness this creative force that lives inside all of our bodies. It's our birthright. It's our gift. It's freaking awesome. And I think we should start paying attention to it. Our bodies literally create life and destroy life every single month as we ovulate, as we have our periods. Even if you are on the birth control pill, you're not technically ovulating, but your body is still going through these fluctuations, maybe just at a smaller, less pronounced scale. And this is a big question I get a lot, is how can I do this while I'm on birth control? And the answer is, it's your body. Just pay attention to your body, start tracking your energy, start to notice your shifts throughout the month. That's one option. And you can also use the patterns of the moon. As the moon expands and shrinks, as 28-day patterns, the same. It mirrors our feminine, our cycles. And so you can use the phases of the moon as well, which can be really fun. So how can we harness and leverage the cyclical energy? So comes down to our hormones. Our hormones drive our lives, right? They make us feel crazy. They also make us really awesome. And so I've been talking about feminine energy, and I want to define it for a second. So there's a few different definitions for feminine energy. There is the dichotomy of masculine versus feminine in terms of the aspects that everyone has inside of them. This is non-gendered. And by masculine, it means this energy of forward progress, of taking action. It's very active. It's the let's get shit done. It's focused on results. It's drive. It's hustle. It's making things happen and taking action and taking charge. Super, super awesome, right? But a lot of times, us ambitious women, we're too much in our masculine and we're not enough in our feminine. They should be in harmony. And so the feminine energy is the flip side of the coin. The feminine energy is the art of receiving, of being, of creativity, of connections, of relationships, of collaboration, of community, of trusting that the universe has your back, and trusting that if you're showing up with aligned action, the universe is going to meet you halfway and give you what you are seeking and working for. So it's this dual, the feminine is this creative container that holds space for the masculine action. So we can get into alignment and tune into our embodied feminine. And once we do that, then we will know what actions to take, and we'll feel much more aligned, and we'll be much more powerful in what we're doing instead of just getting caught up in the busy work. So that's kind of the big picture. When I talk about feminine energy in terms of our cycles, I am taking a more physiological definition of feminine energy, because this is the type of hormonal shifts that females experience. And again, this is not necessarily a gendered thing, because you don't have to identify as a woman in order to have these cycles, but it is a physiological thing. If you have a uterus, if you have ovaries, if you are having a cycle, then this is a feminine source of energy and creation and physiological stuff and hormones. It's like this stuff that's going on inside your body that affects how you show up in life. And so I love this because it's kind of a connection and intersection between biology, the physiological side of things, as well as spirituality, and learning how to tap into these energetic and creative shifts throughout the month. This allows us to have a deeper spiritual connection to our intuition, to our inner wisdom, to the higher source of power, of creativity that we are all a part of. So by tracking your cycle, you don't just have to track your cycle to know when you're fertile and when you should or shouldn't have sex. You can track your cycle as a spiritual practice. What? It's so cool. And if you're not into the woo-woo spiritual stuff yet, this is a great gateway. If you are super into it, then girl, this is going to blow your mind open. It's so fun. So, cycle awareness 101. How do you track your cycle? It's really easy, and you just number the days of your cycle. And this is applicable whether or not you have a textbook 28-day cycle, whether you have a long cycle, whether you might not even be having your period right now, whether you are on birth control. No matter what kind of cycle you have, you can still track it. And the easiest way to do this is to count the first day of your period, first day of bleeding, as day one. If you're on the pill, you can either count the first day of your withdrawal bleed as day one, or you can count the first day of your placebo pills as day one. Totally up to you. Choose your own adventure. This is day one. And then just count the days from there. And you'll start after a few months. You'll start to get into this rhythm and this pattern. You'll start to see patterns that may or may not be consistent month to month in your own body. So if you're not getting a period, then I would use the phases of the moon and just start counting the new moon when the sky is completely black as day one, and go from there and kind of see if your energy shifts throughout the moon, and start using the phases of the moon to tune into the seasonality of your body and the earth. Just as powerful and fun. And so there are 4 distinct phases of a regular cycle. We have your menstrual phase. Obviously, this is what we're taught is our cycle, right? When you're on your period. And this is related to the inner season of winter, because when you're on your period, you're at your lowest energy, you're very inward focused, great time to rest. It's just like the season of winter. So this starts with day one. And then as winter moves into spring, as our hormones start to fire back up, then we move into our follicular phase, or our spring phase. And this is when our bodies start to, our follicles, or our ovaries produce a follicle, which is this, kind of like, I don't know, it's a cyst kind of thing, I guess, but in a good way. That's going to be the home for an egg that we're going to release, maybe. And so our estrogen starts to rise. We have this FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, starts to rise. Our energy starts to come back. And we go through this season of spring, new birth, new energy, new creation. And you'll start to notice, I'll bet you can even tell right now, that when you're on your period, there's a certain day, maybe like 3, 4, 5, 6 days in, when all of a sudden, boom, you have energy and you're like, oh my gosh, I can see clearly again. Let's do all the things. Your motivation returns. So after spring comes summer, and this is your ovulatory phase. So this is when your body produces an egg and when you ovulate. So if you're on birth control, you are not going to have the ovulation phase because the birth control is going to suppress and prevent you from ovulating, but you can still embody this energy by using the phases of the moon. The full moon represents ovulation, and this is when your body is in summer, you are at your most magnetic. This is kind of the superwoman phase, and you're just chill. You're like here to serve, here to show up, here to do your thing and show up in the world. And then that's when your hormones kind of peak, your testosterone peaks. When your egg is released, your estrogen kind of peaks. This is why, I think usually why we have a little bit higher sex drive around the time we ovulate, because our bodies are like, let's have sex to make a baby, because our testosterone peaks. And then after we ovulate, our hormones take a dip and kind of like do a little crazy roller coaster. Our progesterone peaks as our uterus starts to prepare and grow a lining to support a fertilized egg if we're trying to get pregnant. And this is when we transition into our autumn phase, or our luteal phase of our cycle, aka the PMS week, aka the most misunderstood and misappreciated season that I can't wait to share more about on Thursday, on day 4. And then if our egg isn't fertilized, if we're not pregnant, then our body flushes it all out and we have our period, our hormones drop again, we go back into winter, and we begin a new season. So this is the energetic, a brief overview of the energetic and hormonal cycle of every month. And and you can track it either with a journal or with a tracking app. I love the app MyFlow, FLO. It's really awesome, as well as I use the app Kindara. There's a million apps out there. If you have one that you love, please share it with us. But just start tuning in. You can do this in the morning. You can do this before bed. Just journal a little bit. We're going to be diving deeper into all of that in the following days' videos. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's a practice. So next up, tomorrow, we're going to be diving into the spring phase, the fresh energy phase of our cycle. I can't wait to share it with you. If you want a broader overview, like a actual PDF of all of this, I have a free ebook called Cycle Sync Your Biz, and it also has a list of all my favorite resources like apps and books and people to follow on my website that you can download if you go to annamarialock.com. And if you're already a subscriber to my email list, just shoot me an email, shoot me a message, and I will send you another copy of the ebook. But that's cool too. And again, if you feel called to explore this deeper in any way or want to chat about it, I love chatting about this. Feel free to reach out and stay tuned for tomorrow's video. See you then.